Hi, I'm Johnny Bos here in my studio in New York City. Been in boxing 43 years to be exact now. Probably not bragging out, but I will say I was and still am probably the greatest independent matchmaker that ever lived. Probably developed more world champions, made better shows. I've been on both sides. I've been on management side. I've been on like I said, managerial side. I've been a promoter. I've been a matchmaker. I've been a cornerman. You name it, I've done it. One of the things boxing really needs today is a czar or an organization to oversee everything that's going on in boxing and in the United States. First off, you're talking about medicals. Every state you go to has a different medical. It's ridiculous. I mean, one medical should cover the entire United States. One license should cover the entire United States. Another major problem in boxing today are promotional contracts. With promotional contracts, it's impossible for a matchmaker or the public to see the fights they want to see. Obviously, the promoter wants to be compensated more than the fighter does. And you know, you didn't have that problem in the past. Before, you would call a manager, you'd make a deal, boom, you'd have that guy. Then you'd call another manager, boom, and you'd put a good fight together. You cannot do that today. Any club show you're going to, you got basically what you could call cowboys and Indians, where you got 8 winners on one side and 8 losers on the others. What you've lost are the fights in between, in the middle of the show, where you have good fights. You know, what happened to the 5-5 club fighters? Or the 7-5 guys, or the 9-5, the 4-5? They're not there anymore because they don't get a chance. A guy gets 2 fights right away, he's thrown in with a national champion, he's drilled, and more than likely retires. Another thing is the rule of 6 straight losses. Maybe, just maybe, the commission should look and see who those 6 straight losses are to, how they were, who they were against, what kind of fights they were. And if you're going to suspend the fighter for losing 6 straight, maybe you should also suspend the manager who put him in those 6 fights, as he was the one who made the decision on putting him in with those 6 guys. If I had more control in boxing, you take a look at a fight. The worst possible ending of a fight is when the 2 guys come out early in the fight, they bump heads, one gets a gash, and immediately it's a no contest. You know, if I had something to say about that, what I would do was, what's the difference between an unintentional foul with a low blow and with a cut eye? Now, a guy gets hit low, you give the guy up to 5 minutes to recover. Now, if a guy gets cut on an unintentional butt, why shouldn't he be allowed to go back to the corner and have the corner work on his eye for 5 minutes, and it may be fixed up to where he can go on in the fight instead of stopping it right away? Because no matter what, even if it's unintentional or whatever, if the guy can't see, he's going to be getting hit with shots he didn't see coming. And if the corner can't stop the blood, obviously it's got to be a no contest. But if they can stop it and the fight can go on, you're back to almost an even fight again. You know, what boxing needs to hit is the younger fan. You have to get the kids back interested in the sport. And what kid nowadays can afford $50 for the cheapest ticket to go see a club show? I remember when I was a kid, I would pay $1.50 to go to the fights at Madison Square Garden. And, you know, became a big fight fan. You just don't, that doesn't happen anymore. The expenses are too expensive. There are no clubs, especially in the New York area. What really gets to me are residuals for fighters. You know, a fighter fights on ESPN, HBO, whatever, and they have to sign away the rights for that fight for perpetuity. I mean, that's insane. I mean, last week alone, I think the Emmanuel Augustus Mickey Ward fight was shown 10 times on ESPN Classics. Shouldn't Ward, Augustus, the promoter, and anybody else involved with that fight receive something? I mean, that's free programming the TV network is getting. And they're free to do what they want with it afterwards. And you have ex-world champions going around that are penniless, and their fights are on TV. I remember thinking back, maybe 5 years ago, Kid Gavilan was on TV every week on Classic Sports Network, yet he couldn't afford an apartment to live in. He should have been getting paid something for the showing of his old fights. I mean, every other industry gets residuals when a guy does a TV commercial. Whenever that commercial showed, he makes something. But with fighters, they'll show that fight hundreds and hundreds of times, and they see nothing of it. If boxing keeps going the way it's going today, and believe me, boxing is not rising in the United States. Boxing is dropping quicker than the temperature outside now. And in the last week, I think it's gone from like 70 down to 25. Boxing's dropping quicker than that. Right now, people, all they want to talk about is this mixed martial arts, which to me is not exciting at all, where a guy puts a headlock on a guy and holds him there for 2 minutes. There's no punches being thrown in that 2 minutes. It's, complete boredom. But if boxing keeps going the way it's going, with the mismatches, with the promotional rights where people can't see the fights they want to see, where you can't see two good contenders fighting each other. A contender can't make a living today. Years ago, Jimmy Glenn told me when Terrence Ali was fighting on ESPN 8 or 9 times a year, he was earning $20,000 a fight. Nobody on ESPN is earning that today. A contender could make a living up until the 80s and 90s. A contender cannot make a living today. Today they're going home with $5,000 in their pocket, which is insane. Something has got to be done. If not, boxing is gone. And when I say boxing is gone, I mean boxing is finished. So, please, somebody do something where there's one board going to oversee everything, where there's one medical system throughout the United States, where promotional rights are banned, and where a boxer can take, the biggest fee offered to him to fight somebody. Not he's got to take what he's offered. I mean, there should be some kind of system where, if somebody wants to make a fight between two fighters and wants to pay so much money, he should be able to make it. He shouldn't be held back because this guy's tied up by this guy and this guy's tied up by that guy. Hey, if he wants to spend his money to put on good fights, let him do it. Let the people see good fights again. Not, as I phrased it before, the cowboy and Indian syndrome, where every show you go to, there's a winner in every corner. And the officials know who to vote for before the fight starts. I mean, this was a more honest sport when Blinky Palermo and Frankie Carbo was running it. At least if a guy was going in the water and getting robbed, going in the water, he got paid for it. Today they're getting robbed on the decision and getting robbed on the money. Right now, boxing's just in a very, very lousy position where it is being controlled by legal gangsters rather than illegal gangsters. And the commissions are going along with it. That's it from Johnny Bos. See ya.